Thank you. 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Nice looking Wednesday morning. Hope you're doing well. Robin, not the other day, maybe last year, I can't remember when it was, Pluto was declared no longer a planet.
Oh, yeah, that was disappointing.
And it was declared a dwarf planet. So if somebody had said to me, do you know what a planet is? Mm-hmm. I think I would say, I think so. I've heard the word. I'm not so sure anymore. Yeah. You know, the same thing is true with the word cholesterol. It's one of those words that if somebody were to say to you, do you know what cholesterol is? You would probably say, I'll just speak for myself. I would say, yeah, I know what it is. What is it? And I'd be
Yeah, I'd be stumbling.
I don't know. I don't really know what it is. Well, why'd you say you know what it is? Well, because I'm familiar with the word.
Yeah.
So here's the weird thing. I mean, I know that there's a number that we're supposed to keep low. I don't really know what it is. And yet it's such an often spoken word that I feel like I know what it is. But it's just a feeling. Now, here's another word. Not only do I not know, I've never heard it before, lipidology.
Yeah.
So
that's intriguing.
I bring all of this to the show just to introduce our next guest, who's going to educate us on cholesterol and whatever lipidology is. Dr. Eliot A. Brinton is on the phone. He's the president and founding board member of the American Board of Clinical Lipidology. Mm-hmm. And he's a fellow of the American Heart Association, the president of the Utah Lipid Center, and the founding board member and fellow of the National Lipid Association. Wow, he's got a big business card. He's on the phone to talk to us about the First and Goal National Cholesterol Campaign, motivating Americans to make heart health a priority. And that's about all I know about cholesterol, is that it's got something to do with our hearts and keeping them healthy. So with that said, let's go to the phone now that I've revealed that I don't know much about anything. Dr. Eliot Brinton. Good morning, doctor.
Hey, it's great to be with you.
Where are you right now?
I'm in New York City, Manhattan.
All right. Is that where you live?
Just up the coast.
Just up the coast a little bit, yeah. Yeah. Is that where you live?
No, I live out in Salt Lake City, Utah.
So yesterday,
I flew in from the mountains to the big city.
Wow, nice.
So I'm pretty good about sticking to turkey. And they said, what else do I eat that tries to stay away from cholesterol?
No, chicken.
Well, those are good things. Mm-hmm. Those are good things. Yeah, it's interesting. Trying to eat less saturated fat is ironically the best way to reduce cholesterol. Cholesterol is something that doesn't have any calories. It's just there. It's part of our cell walls. It helps build the cell wall. It helps make hormones. It helps make bile. Cholesterol is an interesting thing. It's carried by little packets called lipoproteins, and cholesterol is arguably the number one killer in the U.S. The number one cause of death and disability is heart attack and stroke. The number one preventable cause is high cholesterol levels.
Really?
That's the focus. That's what we're trying to do.
So we need cholesterol, but we don't need as much as our diet gives us.
Right. It's pretty much impossible to have too little cholesterol. I mean, every now and again, you find a rare patient, but it just doesn't happen. So most of us have either just the right amount or too much, and that's where we start with the test. We've got to get that lipid panel, the lipid test, which is the bad cholesterol, good cholesterol, triglycerides. And then we take that test, we sit down with our doctor, and we start to have a conversation about what it is we're supposed to do. And we always start with diet and lifestyle. That's always number one. And smoking, if we're still smoking, we need to stop that. And then we go on to medications, and close to more than a third of all, well, first of all, more than a third of all Americans have high cholesterol, and more than half of them probably ought to be on a statin. And statins, as you know, are our number one class of drugs for high cholesterol.
And what does a statin actually do? Does it actually reduce the amount of cholesterol in a person?
What it does is it blocks the ability of the liver to make cholesterol. That's what it does. And that all by itself is helpful, but then what it also does is it helps the body. The liver then has to get cholesterol somewhere, and the place it gets it from, it puts out a little fishing line called an LDL receptor and fishes an LDL particle out of the plasma, and then the plasma levels go down, and that means our arteries see less cholesterol. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the arteries see less cholesterol, then they can heal and get rid of this atherosclerosis, or the hardening of the arteries.
So maybe this is a dumb question, but if a person has high cholesterol and you recommend a statin, could that person say, you know what, instead I'm just going to become a vegan? Would that actually reduce it, or no?
Sometimes, yes. So never say no to diet and lifestyle. Always a good idea, but once we've done that, we've got to ask ourselves the question, was that enough? And in some cases, we actually know at the outset. You can look at some people's lipid panel and say, do the diet, please, but I know for a fact you've got to start the pill. Let's start today. So there's kind of a spectrum here. Sometimes people can do it entirely with diet and lifestyle, and there's no problem with that. In fact, that's terrific. I really would rather send a patient out the door without the statin prescription. I don't want to give it to them unless I need to. If they need it, then they need it. And what will happen sometimes is we've got our head in the sand and we think, well, I'm just going to do diet and lifestyle and this will be enough. Well, it may be enough and it may not be. So circle back to your doctor, get another test, and see if it's enough. And if it is, terrific. And if it's not, then keep doing it, but then take the pill too.
Since the doctors will try to motivate the patients to do the right thing, and if the patient has to have this prescription, why do they become lackadaisical about taking it?
It's human nature. You know, you don't feel differently if you've got a high cholesterol or low. You don't feel any different. You can't feel the difference. You take your statin. In fact, sometimes you take your statin and maybe your muscles hurt. So then maybe you say, well, gee, I'm not going to take the statin. Well, that's a bad choice because then your cholesterol goes back up and maybe you're going to die from heart attack or stroke. So we've got the middle ground, which is talk to your doctor, do the follow-up, and then if you're forgetting to take your drugs, figure out a way to take them. And be honest with your doctor. Don't say you're taking them when you're not. So there are all these pieces that are part of it. Now, we've got this national campaign that focuses on one particular part of this whole story. So let's go right to that.
Yes.
And the focus is statin metabolism. Now, what in the heck is that? Well, statins are our drugs. Every time we take a drug, the drug has to be handled, usually by the liver, sometimes by the kidneys, in certain pathways. It's metabolized in a certain way. It turns out that there's a common pathway in the liver that accounts for metabolism of 3/4 of the pills, the medications, the over-the-counters, the dietary supplements that we take. 3/4. And guess what? 84% of people taking a statin are taking at least one drug that's on that pathway, and most of the statins are on that same pathway. So we've got this pathway that can very easily get overloaded, and the metabolism backs up, the levels go up, and then you're more likely to have a problem with your statin.
Really?
So part of the focus of this campaign is to remind people of a drug that nobody's ever heard of. It's called Livalo, Livalo. It's one of the statins, one of the 7 statins. Livalo bypasses this crowded pathway. This little stretch of interstate that's too clogged up, it just takes a pass right around it. And that's good because then it's much less likely to have an adverse interaction with these other medications.
Really?
That's kind of the simple message. And we've got a website. It's called firstandgoalhearthealth.com. And that's and is spelled out. So First and Goal Heart Health, all one word, all spelled out. .com is the website. And it starts off with diet and lifestyle, which is good. It goes on to talking about medication, which so many of us need. I mean, more than half of us who have a high cholesterol need these medications. So we talk about that. And then there's one page that I really want to highlight. It's called My Medication Tracker. What is that? That's a page we print out, and then we write down all of our medications. Once we've written down our medications, we write down our dietary supplements. And remember to put down over-the-counter, too. If we take that more than about once a month, we better write that down, too.
Does that include...
And then we hand carry that piece of paper to our doctor.
Does that include
Why
the
do we
herb?
do that?
Does that include the herbal things that somebody...
All the herbals,
yeah.
anything. And here's why. Those can interact. Most people don't know this, but some of the herbals actually have statins in them. We've got to tell the doctor about that. I see patients who do not have a clue what they're taking. Now, how they do that, maybe somebody else does their pills for them, but they cannot remember what they're taking, how much they're taking. Surely they've forgotten their dietary supplements because they didn't think those counted, or the herbals.
Right.
So, print out this piece of paper, write down everything you're taking, take it to the doctor, then the two of you have a focus for your conversation. Are any of these medications going to interact adversely with each other? Do I need to cut out something? Do I need to switch to a different statin? There are various solutions, but you cannot have that conversation unless you have the paper in hand, because you don't remember and the doctor doesn't have time to listen to you go through all your medications. If it's written down when you walk in the door, then you can do it quickly and efficiently and accurately.
Doctor, you have your act together. I mean, you gave us a lot of information in a short little dissertation there. So the website is what our listeners will probably get the most from. Just repeat that real quickly again.
firstandgoalhearthealth.com. Yeah, you don't have to remember anything I said. Just remember First and Goal Heart Health. It's very intuitive. You walk into this website and you're good to go. Just do what you need to do. I mean, sometimes we're kind of lazy. We stopped taking our statin, didn't tell anybody.
Right.
We write down what we're taking. We're starting this herbal. We forget to tell them. If we're just a little more compulsive, a little more careful, a little bit of that goes a long way. I mean, we can spare our muscles the aches and pains. We can get our cholesterol down. We can put off that stroke for another 30 years. I mean, it's good stuff. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to just put a little fire under people and get them going to do just a little better job on what is arguably the single most important health-related task in the whole spectrum.
Good information. Dr. Eliot A. Brinton, thank you so much for being on the air with us. I know you've got other interviews to do. Thank you again for being on the air with us today.
Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
All right. We'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
Look who just walked in the room. Joel Wiesner from What's Up Ocala. Hey, Joel, I'm looking for something to do this weekend. You got any ideas?
Absolutely. Check out our event calendar online at www.whatsupocala.com, and there is plenty of events there for you. Daily news updates to event reviews and magazine articles.
Really?
We've organized it all in one place online for you to cut through all of the hassle of finding something to do this weekend. We have a daily event calendar, a bi-monthly magazine, and we also do daily news articles.
All right, Joel, that's perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah, whatsupocala.com.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Frederick's Appliance. They